It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK from Tucson, facing some storms tonight, huh? How are you, PK? That's what
they tell us. I'm doing great. It's nice seeing that pretty face of yours tonight.
Same with you. Same with you. It's always great to see you. And again, I'm so excited you're going to actually be here with me in a couple of weeks.
That's right. Wait. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a blast. We are going to tear up this town, I'm telling you.
Well, I just want to know what supernatural whatever is going to come and make themselves known to us. I mean, we're a doubleheader after all.
I know it. I don't even know what's going to happen, but it's going to be big, whatever it is. You saw the bear that came up the driveway. I
did. I thought you were going to get a saddle so I could ride it when I come out.
Well, you know what's funny?
Just that bareback.
Yeah, right. That's a good one. He looked like he was smiling. I've got to put it on our Supernatural Girls website. He was a very beautiful bear.
Yes.
And I'm glad I didn't encounter him on the driveway. So, but lovely to look at from the camera.
I'm always amazed at some of the beautiful animals you have in your yard. Are just gorgeous.
Yeah, they are. I feel very blessed to be here. I can't imagine living in any city anymore because it's just like wonderful being one with nature, with the animals. It's just a beautiful way to live, in my opinion. And you are out in the desert, which is my next favorite place to be.
Well, I have the bobcats and the coyotes, that kind of thing, but that's not quite as glamorous as your big black bear.
Right, glamorous, that's for sure. So we have a lot going on again. We've got, first of all, a terrific guest tonight that we'll bring on in a few minutes. Chris Hardy. Dr. Hardy she's a genius, let's face it. Not only does she understand our past with the Anunnakis and everything that's come about from them, but she understands where we're going. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight is wonderful stuff of what we can do, how to expand our own consciousness, how to tap into these Telhar fields. She's going to be directing us on all of these things that we need to know because things are changing, right? They're changing rapidly.
Very quickly.
Yes. So tell me about the numbers. What's happening?
Well, I thought we'd do something a little different about the numbers. This month is about our finances and putting things in order, and everybody knows that because we've talked about it. And today is a 9-day kind of ending old stuff. Tomorrow starts brand new, and I thought, well, brand new, let's do something new because August is going to be a review for every man, woman, and child of last year's issues. And some of us stumbled through it. We didn't make it through all the things the way we wanted. So I thought I'd offer those that have questions, send me their birth name and their birth date. We'll take a look at it. And if it's a quick topic, we'll talk on it on the air without stating their name, of course. And if not, we'll be happy to send back a quick little info to them about what's going on.
That's so nice of you. So so everybody, if you'd like to send something to PK, her email address is hot linked on the Supernatural Girls homepage. Right. So you can go to supernaturalgirls.com and you will find PK and her address right there. So you can just click on it and send her an email and ask her those questions because this is a big transition.
Oh, yes.
Into August, a big one.
We didn't get through everything we wanted to last year. That's the problem. And this gives everybody a chance to get a clean slate because come September, it is a review of this year. So let's get last year's stuff finally off the table. It's going to be an interesting couple of months.
Yes, that would be nice. Now, there's been a lot of earthquakes, big ones lately. One in Russia, almost 8 on the Richter scale. Is that showing up in the numbers for August also? More of this?
Yes, I'm afraid it does, because that's a 9-month and it's ending a lot of old things. A lot of these things were bouncing around last year. We had bits and pieces of it, and we had some major issues last year. But it's kind of, I hate to say it, unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't pay attention. We do need to make a difference in how we handle things. And unfortunately, too many of us have been taking shortcuts. And the shortcuts about ready to bite us right in the you-know-where.
Oh, boy. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I can understand why people take shortcuts, because time seems to be moving so rapidly. Maybe it's my imagination, but I turn around the weeks over.
I know.
And it's like, how did this happen? And when I thought maybe it's because we're older and we're experiencing time differently. But when I talk to younger people, they say the same thing.
Yes.
So they're experiencing the same rapid onslaught of, time. So it feels very different than when we were young. I don't know if the Earth is traveling and that's access faster or what's happening, but something with time is really critical here, and it's changing everything.
It is. It almost feels like, when you ever wound a clock too tight, and it gets to that point where it doesn't budge, and then all of a sudden it goes zzz, and it spirals out. That's exactly the feeling that I'm getting.
Yes.
And everybody feels off key. Nothing feels in balance. So
it feels like you just can't get a grip on anything. It's like everything's moving so fast. It's just, you have all you can do to just keep up. I can't keep up.
Oh, no. And I refuse to Twitter because somebody else is master at that one. So we'll just let that part go for the now.
We're going to let it go. Well, we've got a couple of interesting stories here on Supernatural Girls, too. And one of them, of course, everybody, to go to our Facebook page, because we post videos there. We post all kinds of really cool stories there every single day. And PK and I came across a couple of them. Now, one was about this mysterious first century cursed tablet.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. I don't think I want to open that thing. How about you?
Well, curiosity, women and curiosity. What can you say? And what if you opened it and it was something really fabulous? Are we positive that it's negative?
Well, we don't know. We just know that it's a mysterious cursed tablet found on the island of Jersey.
Right.
And apparently nobody wants to open this thing. So I think we have to find some brave soul who's encased himself in lead and who will open it and then let the rest of us know what's in it. Yeah. But it is some type of a curse.
How did they decide it was cursed, though?
I don't know the answer to that question. And
that was the part that had me going,
Yeah.
So is the assumption that it is cursed because of where it was found and because of the age of it and their superstitions or beliefs of the area, or is it really something really fabulous that's going to give us a new way to look at things? Yeah,
I don't know, but I think somebody needs to really get courageous and do something with it and then tell us what it says.
I think they need to check it out and call us. That's all there is to it.
Oh, definitely. Then they can go on the show and they'll say, this is what happened when we opened the tab up. Right.
After the puff of smoke.
Yeah, that's right. But that was an interesting story.
Yes,
so that's
really
on our
was.
Facebook page. You want to read more about it, go to our Facebook Supernatural Girls page. And then the other thing is there is a video, a silver UFO filmed flying over Leeds in the UK. Now, we were talking about this before we got on the air tonight. What's so nice about this video is somebody shot it very well. So it's a clear video. And there's no screaming and yelling hysterically in the background, which was a relief because I'm kind of tired of that, aren't you?
Definitely.
And it was great just to see this is a silver object, that it was flying in the sky. The person did a great job videotaping it. And so thank you, whoever did this, but take a look at it. It is on our Supernatural Girls Facebook page. So make sure you go over to that page, give us a like, and then you'll be following us. And also sign up for the Fringe Files. We're going to be making some changes to that newsletter and sending it out again, at the beginning of next week. So don't forget to join the community. We've got a great community here. We have the best audience in the world. They are the smartest of the smart, and we love, love, love talking to you guys every single week. So tonight, here we go. We're going to learn a lot tonight, PK.
Oh, that's for fact.
We have Dr. Chris Hardy. She is a psychological anthropologist with a specialty in systems theory. She is the author of 8 books, including The Sacred Network, DNA of the Gods, her latest book, which is fascinating, Wars of the Anunnaki. She has worked as a parapsychological researcher at the Psychophysical Laboratory in Princeton, New Jersey, and done a million other things, but she's well known for her books and her understanding of consciousness. I think since Chris was a little child, she knew there was more, and she's been searching for it ever since. So we are going to welcome her to the show right now. Chris Hardy, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to invite me in this show.
Well, it's such a pleasure, and I know it must be very late there. What time is it there in France?
It's only 1:30 a.m. But I'm a person who is working every night until past dawn. I go to sleep like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And this is my secret and my answer to your question about how do you cope with the augmentation of the frequency that we are experiencing on Earth.
Yes.
Because if you want to have a part of your life systematically into some kind of inner state where you are in tune with your inner higher self, your inner self, then you do like me. You keep the night for those states and working by yourself in a very nice room, and you do that every night, and you leave the day, part of the day, for all the social and the task we have to do.
That's interesting. Wow. Well, that's a great way to handle it. So, and again, you're the author of 8 fabulous books, and your latest one, Wars of the Anunnaki. But what we wanted to talk about with you, because you have a deep understanding, Chris, of consciousness, and we are making a leap in consciousness is what you're calling it, and you have the keys to understanding that. So we also want to talk about the Anunnaki, because there's a lot of questions that come in about the Anunnaki. Are they good guys, bad guys? Do they wear the white hats or the black hats? We constantly have questions on that. So in terms of where we are today and where we've come from, we want to try to bring it all together for our audience. But again, our audience is always interested in expanding, in becoming more telepathic, more psychic, more tuned in. And certainly you have a profound understanding of all of that. So you've been researching all of this since you were very, very young, right? You started understanding some of this when you were just a child.
Not exactly a child. I had very few things happening until I was 18 years old, and I started making some meditation. Of course, it's true that when I was a younger adolescent, like starting 14 to 18, 15 maybe to 18, I was writing poetry. So I was used to those state of consciousness where you become one with nature, with the environment, because I would always go, when I felt it, I felt an urge to go in the forest. And my parents had a country house where I was trying to stay by myself. and writing. So I had this, but it's only when I started meditation, and I was 18 years old, that suddenly, very quickly, I mean, in those times, I had only found a book with some, not even half a dozen postures of yoga, the very simple posture yoga. Mm-hmm. And I took the first one, the most simple, cross-leg picture, posture, and I immediately got into a high state, but again, because I was used to get into those states in nature where I would feel, while I was writing poetry, that I was communicating with the trees, the flowers, the whole of nature. So I got very quickly into those states, and then it's like I must have connected with my higher self. However, good or bad was the communication, I was already kind of overshadowed in a very positive way by my higher self. And at that point, I was guided by inside, by my inner guide, which is nobody else than our higher self, as I came to understand. And this took me something like in 19 years old, I had my first experience of Telhar field that I'm going to recount to you. And I had, earlier than that, I had an experience in Tunisia where I had an awakening of my heart chakra. And of course, I could not understand at all why a state of consciousness of a much greater, higher state of consciousness was connected to a part of my body, which was the heart chakra on the sternum. And it's only...
So all of this gave you an experience of a connection with beingness rather than ego. So you had this transitional experience, and like you mentioned, Tunisia sounds like it was very powerful. But let me just ask you this. The Anunnaki, are they good, bad? Were they, where would you categorize them? Are they our ancestors that were also slave masters to us? And can we get beyond what they wanted from us and the way they've controlled us?
Yes. First thing, the Anunnaki were a family of royals who came from another planet and who came on Earth and then created us. And in this family were basically two clans. One clan was the scientific clan, and we have the first prince, who the first son of King Anu from the other planet Nibiru, who came on Earth. And he was a scientist, head scientist in all matter sciences. His sister, Ninma, was the one who created us because she was the head scientist in life sciences. And one of the sons of Enki was the person we call Hermes, or Thoth in Egypt. And he was the first one, let's say, when we look at his writings, he was the first one to explain clearly some inner state and how to get to higher state of consciousness with some very specific techniques that we will find later, much later in the East, in India, Japan, China, in Taoism, and in Hinduism, and Tibetan religion, and also in shamanism, but in a different way.
So this is our legacy. We have, from what we've been told, and PK, you and I have interviewed a lot of people on the show that say that there are some some entities that come from other planets that want us under their thumb. They want to control us. They want us to stay in the darkness and do whatever they want us to do so that they can feed off of our negative emotions. And then there's another side to this where apparently we have some help coming in from other star systems that want us to assume our rightful place.
Yes. So yes, we have to be aware that about the Anunnaki, we have two clans. We have the scientific clan I was talking about, who was always taken the side of humanity, but we are not really high spiritual individuals. We don't have this in among the Anunnaki in the long time ago. But we have the other clan, which was the clan of the ruler of Earth, Enlil, and his clan was the one to, when they voted for the creation of a hybrid race that would have partly their own genome and partly the genome of Homo erectus, of a biped that was roaming in the jungle of Africa. When they voted in the Assembly of the Gods for the creation of this hybrid race species, they wanted a slave, and they wanted people to be able just to be intelligent enough that they could work in the mines. And it was not the aim of Enki and Ninma and Hermes, who had understood that their civilization was totally decadent on the way out, and they wanted to create humanity as a very intelligent, sensible, able to learn kind of personality, and they gave us their best. But again, they were not at all at the level of, apart from Hermes, they were not at all, the older generation were not at the level of what we call now a spiritual being, like the way we are exploring high state of consciousness. It was not their it was not their thing, you know.
Yeah, it's because it seems to us that what's happened is there's a lot more of the under their thumb energy. The negative energy seems much more prevalent than any of the energy that would help us ascend and, you know, become enlightened, become masters of our own destiny. It just seems like it's very imbalanced energetically. Is that what's happening?
I don't think that. I think that we have in our genes, because they gave us their own genome. You know, I would say 90%. They were a human race of giants, near quasi-immortal. So we have their genes, and specifically, I believe, the genome of Hermes, and they were having really horrible kind of emotion. They were prone to anger. They were. You had a lot of rapes, violence. Enlil wanted continually to erase humanity from the face of the earth, as we can see in the Bible, written clearly. He put on humanity all the time the responsibility of anything that was happening that was not of his liking. For example, when the Nephilim wanted to marry and build families, he dare put the responsibility on those poor women who were compared to the powerful giant Anunnaki, were not able even to say anything for or against, but were loved and constructed family. But then when the deluge happened, Enlil forced the other gods in the assembly, and we have all the rapport of these assemblies. He forced the other gods not to disclose to humanity that a huge tsunami caused by some astronomical condition was going to erupt on Earth, and cover the Earth. And it was Enki who gave the information.
Was that the Great Flood then that we all
yes.
are familiar with? So that was the big flood that wiped a lot of things out.
It's interesting to realize that it was Enki who gave to Noah the information, and Enlil was totally upset when he saw Noah surviving and arriving at Mount Ararat.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, it's a fascinating history, and that you've uncovered, and I know others have too. But if this is our history, but then how do we continue to keep in our minds that we need to make a leap into a whole other place of consciousness? Now, before we go there again, here is a question, Chris, from the chat room. This is from Yogi Spirit. He says, "Hi, Dr. Chris. Do you believe modern-day humans are descendants of starseeds? Or could this process still be ongoing and we are possibly living among first-generation aliens?"
Well, the fact, as now I talk as a person who has experienced a lot of contact with aliens, and from the time I was like 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And I have encountered already different races, and I see that other people have also are talking about very specific contact with different races. And my opinion on that has always been that the humanity we have actually, we are making actually has different source. We are practically all of us. I mean, you can say that all the life in the universe, first of all, the universe is teeming with life. Second, it's, I believe, and I made even a theory about that. I believe that, what is it? I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. But so we are, I think what this question you're answering is we are descendants of these people, these beings that come from other planets. And so we are a genetic soup of whatever they put together to make us. And again, though, they didn't. I have a lot of questions about how they short-circuited our ability to really figure out what we need to do in order to be who we're meant to be. You know, everybody says, well, we are godlike, we are creators, we can create our own reality. But then there's something they did genetically way back then that short-circuited our ability to really do those things, right? I mean, that's
no,
my thing.
I don't believe so.
I don't think that we've been short-circuited. We're capable.
No. I believe that we definitely had a despot God, Enlil, the ruler of Earth, but that was so long ago, and they self-destroy when they use nukes to destroy the cities in the Sinai, Sodom and Gomorrah, during their wars between one clan and the other one. What I believe is that, again, we have different seed. One, the major seed of genome of humanity must be the Anunnaki one. But again, the universe is teeming with life. All the metals, and understand that all the metals, the heavy metals, are from the explosion of supernovae. All the atoms of hydrogen, light gases, are from the beginning, the early Big Bang universe, and they are still the same atoms that are around us.
That's
you
fascinating.
have
Before we go on, Chris, we're going to have to take a short commercial break, and we're going to finish answering that question, and then we have other questions coming into the chat room. Everybody, feel free to write into the chat room, irnchat.com, irnchat.com. We'll ask your questions for you to Dr. Chris Hardy. She is the author of a new book, War of the Anunnakis, as well as 7 more books about all of this, our history, our consciousness. We are changing. We are transforming. So stay tuned, everybody. This is Supernatural Girls Radio, and we will be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, famous numerologist, PK. And don't forget, if you have a question and you want PK to answer it, we're going from a 9 to a 1 here. It's a big transition into August. And PK is generously offered to answer your questions at no charge. This is your opportunity. Go to supernaturalgirls.com homepage. You will see right there PK's email address, and you can shoot her off an email and ask her any question you need to have an answer to. She will help you with this transition. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Just need their birth name and their birth date. That's all I need.
Name, birth date, and question, and you're off and running. So
that's right.
There you go. And we have a very, very exciting guest tonight. We have Dr. Chris Hardy. She is the author of 8 books, and her latest one is War of the Anunnaki. But what we're talking about tonight is not only our past with the Anunnaki, but we're talking about where we go from here. There is a new leap of consciousness that is happening, and Chris has a deep understanding of this, and she's leading us in the right direction so that we'll know what to do and how to do it. Right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The main point about this leap of in consciousness that I believe is going to be the whole of humanity undergoing it. However, the person who are experiencing it, the first one, are of course all the people working on themselves with whatever technique they do. It could be, from meditation to any kind of creativity or even music or whatever. Creativity is very important. And as I came to understand the great transformation that we are going to go through in the humanity has to do with a collective consciousness, and it had been very well predicted by 2 great thinkers. One was philosopher Teilhard de Chardin, and he came with the concept of noosphere, and saying that humanity will get as into a collective consciousness, and after a long era of developing our own individuality and our will and our intention, we will go into developing a harmonious relationship, not only with other people, but also with nature and with the earth. And so that was Teilhard de Chardin. And another one is, of course, psychologist Carl Jung, much more known to us with the concept of the collective and conscious. And the collective and conscious is how we are tied, all of us, through our deep psyche to the roots of our psyche, but also it's like in each person, higher self, it's living in a dimension which is beyond space and time, and in this dimension of consciousness, we are all connected. So I believe this is the main process that is happening. And this is why we are experiencing so many synchronicities. I mean, things that are happening at the moment we are talking about it, like we think about a friend and then he's calling, but also the message that are coming to us in answer to very specific questions. This is, I could give you an example if you want.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's being reported to us as hosts of the show. I mean, we hear this a lot lately, exactly what you're describing, that these synchronicities are happening much more, and that it seems to be that these fields of connection are happening almost by themselves. Is that what's happening?
Well,
what
I could make out is that when you have, for example, let's say a collective prayer or a concert, for example, with a large public, if you have two or three people able to get in harmony with their own higher self, they are going to create one of those telepathic-harmonic fields on the whole room, on the whole audience. And then all the other people that are not at this level of consciousness to be aware of what's happening will still be taken by it, you know, like the information of this possibility of connection, this possibility of consciousness, of living at a higher level of consciousness will be, the information will be in them, in their unconscious. And then it's like a seed. And if they happen to be willing to work on themselves, this is of course extremely important, to be willing to work on oneself, to improve oneself, to give some time to our own inner life and development. And then if they just want this, it's going to bloom like a flower. Those are very natural I would say development and growth in consciousness.
It does seem to be ramping up. It does seem to be more powerful than ever before. And it reminds me of a paranormal witness show that I saw. And I've never been so taken with a show like I was with this particular one. There was a psychic medium. She was tracking a serial killer. And the police couldn't touch this guy, but yet she knew he was about to kill his third female victim. And what she did was what you're talking about. She gathered people together that she had worked with before. So there are actually, I think, about 4 or 5 people around her. And they prayed. They prayed so hard that the next victim would be protected and would not succumb to this serial killer. And what happened was the most bizarre thing. The police had no explanation. Nobody had an explanation for it, because we know what happened. This Telhar field that you've mentioned in your books affected the outcome. What happened was this man who had stabbed to death his previous victims was driving in his van looking for the next victim. And all of a sudden, he was stabbed from behind, right through the seat of his car, of his van. And he ends up calling the police because he's been stabbed. And so they come and they arrest him because they find evidence.
Oh, my God.
Was the killer. He killed these other people. And it stopped it. So this other person, this other woman he had targeted survived. But anyways, it's a great
so
story.
Incredible story.
Because it illustrates exactly what you're saying.
Oh, this is wonderful. Could you just write it down on your website and put the name and date and everything?
It was
I would love to have it.
Story. But it's a perfect example of what you've been talking about with the Telhar fields and how powerful we are. As they say, with two or more gathered. So here she gathered, I think, 4 or 5 people, as I remember correctly. Yeah. But they prayed on it, and here's the result. So again, it's a perfect result, exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I have another historical case. It happened in the 5th century in Paris. The barbars, the Huns, Huns, were arriving from the northeast, and they were going to come to Paris. And in Paris, it was the time of King Clovis and Queen. I'm sorry, it will come. And Sainte Geneviève was recognized as a saint because she was a so special child, and she did not want to marry, and so she was recognized as a saint already by the people of Paris. And when they heard, everybody knew that the Huns were coming, and they would devastate Paris, she talked to the whole population, and she said, look, listen to me. We are going to stop the Huns. I want all the women of Paris to get into prayer and to stay into prayer until the danger is gone. And she added, I cannot ask this from men as a necessity, but of course the more men would be better. And all the women of Paris got into prayer, and the Huns, believe it or not, passed like a few kilometers and were not able to see Paris, and they kept going further on the Seine to another town, which after she was sending some food because they were in distress. So it was a power of collective prayer, with an enormous... what was very strange is that she knew she could do that with the people.
Incredible.
Together. Yeah, because she did not tell them, let's try to do something. She said, I ask you to stay in prayer until the danger is gone. And that happened like that.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
See, we need to remember this about ourselves, that we are that powerful when we come together in prayer and also in peaceful prayer. I mean, these are incredible stories, and this is the leap in consciousness. This is the key, right, that you're talking about?
Yes. I believe this is a key to our own time. The leap of consciousness that we are undergoing now is not the first time the humanity is undergoing a leap in consciousness, of course, but this one is, we can feel it, as you said, with the frequencies of even, it's all inside the frequency of our life, the frequency of our thinking. We are getting into higher frequencies, and this is one part, and we are getting more and more connected. It is starting. I give information. It is starting. It is in everybody now who is able to be a bit sensitive. Whether you work on yourself or not, it is a field that is an information, a knowledge that is inside your unconscious, and you just have to let it, to trust it, and let it take the room, take you to higher state. And it's why we, as we said earlier, it's why we are experiencing more and more connection. The people are, it's 30 years now that we know that the people are becoming more and more telepathic, in a higher sense of telepathy, because the Telhar field, they are a specific, that's why I call them Telhar field, because they are telepathic and harmonic, Telhar. But when you are in for example, I experienced this when I was 21 and I got to the sacred town of Nasik in India. And it was not the first time I was experiencing this, but when I walk down a tiny little street that was curving towards the center of this sacred town, which was full of hundreds of temples around the river, at one point I made one step, and I was one step more, and I was taken into the most unbelievable harmony field. And it's like, you are one with all the ascetics that are meditating in those places, the pilgrims, and also the temples who have. The temples have a Sikh field, this, yes. The energy of consciousness. It's, for me now, I know it's a hyper dimension in the cosmos. It's cosmic consciousness. It's a hyper dimension. It has very specific, faster than light particles, but, it is inside each one of our cells
And it
that's
seems
why
that
we are connected,
Yes,
it's all
exactly.
connecting everything.
And what you're saying is that we're now coming into a time, and you're saying over the past 30 years, this has grown exponentially, where we have more access. We have the connection. It is enhanced more than it's ever been before. It's easier, it seems, because I know when I try to connect, it's easier. And like you mentioned earlier in the show, the synchronicities are coming more frequently. So there must be more and more of a connection amongst all of us, whether we are conscious of it or not, right?
Yes, definitely. This
Exciting.
is it. You can imagine that if this field is inside the particles as a hyperdimension, inside all particles, so all of our cells and all of our organism. And of course, what we call the higher self, or the self with a big S, is only the hyperdimension part of our own being. So it is living on its own level. Mm-hmm. And it is connecting on this level. It is connecting with all self, all
yes.
People that are of the same type of, the same psychology, who
right.
have the same values, who have the same aims. And so this field is spreading. We have a lot of friends that we don't know anything about in our little ego, from the higher dimension.
Right.
Yes.
We do. Now, here's a question from Klaatu in the chat room. He says, how do you feel about human-initiated contact with aliens? Is this something anyone should try?
This is a very, very difficult question, and I don't think I can give an answer. It's not something that you, quote, could try. For me, it came to me as a contact, because I had known those entities, in an incredibly long time ago. And so the contact came again. And then I was able to initiate some other contact, but I'm protected because I did a lot of meditation, And one way, let's say, I would say very clear, simply, that the more you are working on yourself and the more you are doing some type of technique of inner development, the more you are protecting yourself, the more you are in contact with your higher self, the more you are able to be harmonized inside yourself, the more you are protected. And the more you are protected, then you can allow yourself anything you want. But you have to be, first you have to be sure that you have your signpost. You have marked down your allies, that
yeah, so that you're aware of your shadow self. You've worked on the skeletons in your closet, taken them out, shaken them up, and basically cleared a lot in your consciousness so that you are more of a channel and you don't bring in a lot of baggage to these relationships with extraterrestrials or interdimensionals. And I think you're right. That's very important. Otherwise, you're going to be faced with your own fear.
Yes, especially, Patricia, what you said is perfect, but especially because we have to realize that, as I said, that the cosmos is teeming with life, and intelligent life is the aim of the whole of life in the universe, I believe, because the cosmic consciousness came first. And if you see things like that, then you have to understand that we have a lot of neighbors. Aliens are everywhere. And of course, we know they are coming to us with good intention and bad intention. So we have the same exact type of problems with the aliens that we have with our neighbors on Earth. Our family neighbors and also our country, neighboring country, whatever. We have the good, the bad, the medium, the whatever, the good in this, the bad in this. Right. And it's all very, very complex. And so I believe that there is absolutely no question that there is some kind of federation in at least in our part of the galaxy. It has to. We are a very young world. I mean, we can have civilizations that are 1 million years older than us, of course younger too, but also maybe 100 million years older.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have, there's just, we are very young, but I think your answer to Klaatu is a good one. You have to really clear yourself before you reach out to anybody, whether it's your neighbor or whether it's an alien from another planet or another dimension. You have to make sure you're not bringing baggage into that relationship that is going to cloud it, color it, or make it dangerous in some way. So I think that's good advice. And so again, we're going to have to take another very short break in a minute. And also, again, everybody, feel free to continue to write your questions into the chat room. It is irnchat.com. That's irnchat.com. And we will ask the questions to Dr. Chris Hardy, and she will answer them for you. Again, that's irnchat.com, irnchat.com. And also go to our Facebook page for Supernatural Girls with a Z, so you can watch that UFO video and read about that cursed tablet. Don't miss those. So we are speaking with Dr. Chris Hardy tonight about the Anunnakis and our key to the next leap in consciousness. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker. I am here with PK from Tucson. And we are here.
Our guest is wonderful.
Our tremendous guest tonight. We have
she is that.
Chris Hardy, Dr. Hardy. She is the author of 8 books on where we come from, the Anunnakis, and also our sacred right to connect in these Telhar fields. And that's what we're talking about tonight, is our leap in consciousness. We are ready to make that leap.
I think so.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
We are making it. We are already in it.
That's right. We are. Now, here's a question for you, Chris, from Starlight, who says, do you think people on Earth will experience another phase of physical and intellectual evolution because of alien influence?
Well, I'm a little upset about the fact that we are always putting on the aliens everything good we can do and everything bad that happened to us. And in fact, we were talking about the Anunnaki before. I mean, they are in our very long past. We are far beyond them right now. We are starting this leap of consciousness as a collective planetary consciousness, and it is our planetary consciousness of Earth, whether we are the descendant of the Anunnaki or from some alien films, whatever. It doesn't matter. Everybody in the cosmos has many multiple roots, I would say. We share the genes, we share the consciousness. And so we have to take our own responsibility that we are going to be able, as a collective consciousness, as a planetary Telhar field, to make it stable 24 hours a day, and so that each time we are able to connect, to be open to a high state, to our inner self, that we are going to be able to communicate in this field and make it take the lead. This is our own collective consciousness that is going to the more we build it, the more it will happen by itself, that it will keep going and keep evolving. And this is our own sacred work, It's like an alchemical work, great work of our time. And so we are going to be faced with terrible aliens who want to keep us in control. As you said earlier, this also is existing. I'm not denying. We are going to meet space allies. This is my next book, science fiction, which is going to be called Space Allies. We have already those allies. We have a lot of, an immense number of alien races that are just so-and-so, are not interested by Earth, so we are not interested in them. But we are going to, in my opinion, soon, we have already the contact with this federation. In my opinion, now I'm talking, what else can I do? It's going to be like it's going to be like a federation on Earth, the UN at the galactic level.
So it'll be the Galactic Federation here on Earth, which would be interesting, I think. And certainly some people have claimed to be in contact with Galactic Federation agents or officers or whatever you want to call them. And some of these people, I believe, I think they're very credible. They're telling an experience that I think is very real. And certainly, why wouldn't there be a Galactic Federation? It makes perfect sense to have something like that, some type of organization. Yes. So, yeah, I think that's true.
It does.
Yeah, and I think we can all eventually participate to some degree in this, hopefully.
Yes. So it's like we are going to be faced with totally different types of politics, but nothing that will be different from what we're experiencing now in democracies, And there
that would be good. That would be good. But here's my question too. I mean, there seems to be also a number of people that have come forward, and they say that there are entities here that are not friendly, that are out to harm us. And there's been a lot said about Antarctica and entities in Antarctica. Now, do you know anything about that? Do you know if these are some Anunnakis that have been put in a cryo state and are being brought back to life? But they say they're giants. They're giants down there in Antarctica that they found.
Well, I may not know enough about that to be clear. I know there are some aliens in Antarctica. I know also that I feel and know strongly that Hitler was the first despot to be overshadowed by aliens. And we do have this problem. We had the problem that we have a strong alien presence on Earth. That, but if you can, this is what I am able to explain in my science fiction, because you can do whatever, you can say whatever you want, you know, without having to.
It's not real.
Without having to discuss it on what other people say. But, if you imagine that, let's say we have, let's say to be clear, like, to be simple, 20 different alien, races in our galaxies, all, of different age, some being, 10 million years older in their civilization than us, other ones that are not even, at the stage, of, bipeds, you know, other world. And so you have this extremely differentiated type of landscape of intelligent races. And if you catch it like that, then you will understand if there cannot not be a federation of those races that are much older than us, because they had to organize themselves like we are organizing on Earth. It's a stage of a civilization that you suddenly become global and start organizing at the global level, you know. We have to go through that. We have to keep our freedom, but we cannot not move with some type of globalization. Everything is global. The internet is global. This is a good point, a good thing. So if you have this, then you understand also that they may be looking toward the world that are exactly at our own stage of development, meaning that we start we start knowing for sure that they cannot not be aliens everywhere around us, and at the same time we are here. Not.
Right.
Yes. At the same time, we have government, establishment science that are still blocking this information while they have it, of course. And so, because supposedly we are not ready. But if you understand the big picture like that, then you will understand that those worlds that are much more advanced in the Federation would have put some kind of races to look over very young planets. And those custodian aliens may not be at all from the same human film, and may not be at all sympathetic to our own path of development in terms of collective consciousness.
Let me ask you this about the Anunnaki, because I know you've done a lot of research about them. Do you think there's any remnants of the Anunnaki here today? I mean, other than us, we are their genetic children, but are there any remnants of the leaders of old? Are they still here with us somewhere?
If there is 2 or 3 Anunnaki remaining, because I remember you that they self-destroy by a nuclear explosion on Palestine. Like something like 2000 years BC, and they destroy their own civilization in the whole of Mesopotamia, meaning Sumer, by radioactive clouds from Palestine. Okay, so a lot of them are gone. They died. They were too sick and finally died. They lost their quasi-immortality. And if we have 2 or 3 of them remaining, they may not have the type of control that they had before,
Yes.
And
yes.
We are becoming stronger, and we are not going to be anymore going in their ways,
So we're not going to be slaves anymore, which is a good thing.
Well, we have never been. I tell you something. Enlil wanted to keep us as slaves. This is a fact. He tried to erase us, the whole of humanity, at 3 different times, including the deluge. And he was not able to do that because of the scientific clan Enki, Ninmah, and Hermes. And because we were starting to be already able to have our own life force and intelligence and to grow. So what has not been able to be done ages ago, like the deluge is like something like 11,000 years BC. So it cannot be happening now, especially now that we are starting to have this planetary collective field. Okay. We are becoming very, very strong, and we are now going to be able to take our destiny into our own hands. Even if we get into the Federation, it will be as a very strong collective consciousness on the planet.
That's wonderful news. Now, the Anunnaki obviously were quite advanced, and they had the ability of total telepathy as well as other mind control and things like that. But here's my question. Do you feel that we're going to go to a level that's even beyond what the Anunnaki had with their consciousness?
But we are already at a level that is beyond what the Anunnaki were.
Okay.
This is a very, very long time already. Because the type of spirituality that you can see in ancient books, in Eastern philosophies and religions, in mysticism, in the religions of the book, like Sufism, like Christian mysticism, alchemy. This is of a much higher level in terms of values. I mean, the Anunnaki had absolutely awful psyches. They were unable to reflect on themselves. They were unable to accept their own shortcomings, and they were not looking at all to improve themselves. Like now we are all on a quest to move on, it's totally different.
Yes, and like you mentioned earlier, to basically clear out some of the things from the past and from our own energy systems. So they weren't interested in any of that. So it did hold back their own evolution. Here's a question for you. Whatever happened to the UN's effort to establish a committee to deal with possible contact with aliens? I don't know. Whatever happened to that? Do you?
No, I don't. I would love to have some information.
Talk about it, but
it was quite a topic there for quite some time, and it's just almost like somebody erased it.
Yeah, it just stopped.
But what kind of time? I mean, when did it happen?
There's no date on it, but do you know a date, PK? I don't remember, but
No,
Yeah, this was
been some
a
time
while
back.
ago.
Yeah,
It
quite
must
a bit.
have been. It must have been at the time that they were putting out some laws about the non-militarization of space. It must be at this
That
kind
could
of time.
That's a possibility.
I would say.
Yes,
Maybe
that-
it's linked.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what the person asking the question is talking about.
It could be.
Then
yeah.
it has been put into a law. I mean, we have clear laws about the fact that we should not get our military into space. Yes.
Right. Yes, but there's a lot of talk about, even with the Pope and the Catholic Church, about aliens coming here, being here, whatever. And it just seems like there are some organizations that still want to put their stamp of ownership on
Right.
this. So,
Right.
Yes. Look, this is what I was telling you. If you understand that in the Federation they have to look on younger planets that are soon going to be aware of alien presence and then will be accepted in the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a custodian power. And this custodian power on Earth, now this is all of my own sensitivity, psi-sensitivity, that I can express in my sci-fi books. And I believe that the custodian power that had been on Earth in the last 7 or so or 10 millennia since the deluge is not, first of all, is not a human species and is not sympathetic to our advancement. Because if you have a custodian power like a despotic power, this custodian power will have all interest in keeping us blind. And this is why I agree with you. And I am a parapsychologist too, my doctoral thesis was on psi research. And I have been seeing this very specific information totally blocked in very specific domains in science and in trying to block the people from getting the information about their own experience of psi. And this has been in very specific domains, which are psi, the alien possibility existing in the universe and the alien presence on Earth. And the third thing is higher state of consciousness, high spirituality, which is not in orthodox lines, And these three domains they have tried to block the information from us, but our own awakening is so strong that we are passing the information between us quicker than by anything genetic or whatever. This what's happening now, it's at the level of the self, the higher self of each one of us. And we are exchanging information and going further very quickly.
yeah, we really are. And you're right. They can't block information like they used to. In fact, we had a former FBI gentleman on our show, and that's one of the things he said, is that they don't even try to block a lot of it.
Right.
They just let it all out. So everybody's like either overwhelmed or they don't know what's real or what isn't. But again, this is why what you have to say is so important, Chris, because you are urging all of us to continue to go inside, connect with that field of unity, and keep working from that place. And that's where our power is. That's where we can really affect change. So
Yes,
your message is very important, I think, to all of us, because there's so much information, disinformation, and it can just drive you nuts. Why not just do what you're suggesting? Go inside, whether it's through meditation or song or prayer, it doesn't matter. But that's a very powerful thing to do. And we can ride the wave of the energy that is surrounding the earth right now. We can take advantage of that, and it makes it stronger.
Which would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. It all goes together, you know. I have my feeling is that you have to see the cosmos as a hologram, and it's possible, and it's an idea I developed in this book, Space Allies, is that it's very, very possible that the kind of leap in consciousness that we are riding now as a very, very powerful wave is also happening in some other civilizations that are sympathetic to consciousness, you know.
Interesting.
Voilà. And then it would mean, and this is the story in my next book, Space Allies, is the fact that we are going to make this leap, different worlds together. And it's not because Earth is not a member of the Federation yet that we are not important. We have to understand that in a hologram, it's like we are connected to those space allies, the civilizations that are also looking to improve their own culture, you know, in terms of consciousness.
Right.
And it's possible that those space allies, as I picture them, their whole society, their whole science, their whole politics is based on moving into the realm of consciousness, you know, and not matter, not riches and power, you know.
Yes, exactly. I mean, this is a big change afoot, and that's why I think your books are at the leading edge of all of this. And again, we can't recommend your books highly enough. So if you want to understand the history of all of this, which you have lots of books about the history of this, your most recent book, War of the Anunnakis, which is a great book, and then all of your other ones too that support this leap of consciousness that we are in the middle of, and looks like we'll be launching ourselves from it over the next year or so, right? So it's all good, because again, we want to take our power back. You know, we don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be slaves. We don't want to be misinformed, disinformed. We want our power to come back to us, and so it's very important to do these things and to enter those Telhar fields. And I think, like you said, you know, when you're there, if you can feel it.
Let me just mention that all this understanding about Telhar field is in my book called The Sacred Network, which has been published at Inner Traditions.
Yes, another great book by Dr. Chris Hardy, The Sacred Network. And Chris, we can't thank you enough for coming on the show late at night from all the way from France. It's been a delight, as always, to talk to you. So knowledgeable and so helpful to everybody in our audience. So thank you. And we await your next book. And in the meantime, people, if you have questions about your numbers going from a 9 to a 1 month, then send PK your name and your birth date, and she's going to do her best to answer your questions, all for free, because we love you guys. We're happy that you listen to the show, and we want to give to you everything that you need. So in the meantime, we will be back next week with another great show. We have Close Encounters Man coming. We're going to be talking about where it all started with J. Allen Hynek. And I can't wait to find out what this guy has to say about this man. So we're going to find out. And until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.